This is Sensor Studio, always monitoring the clouds. I will quickly deliver the briefing on the Middle East war situation. Iran has submitted a new proposal to the United States through Pakistan. According to Axios, Steve Witkoff, the Middle East envoy, sent Iran's revised proposal. In this revision, Iran included the nuclear issue in the draft proposal and stated that it would not move enriched uranium from facilities destroyed by bombing or resume activities at those facilities during the negotiation period. Is that correct? Iran has repeatedly insisted that talks on the nuclear issue be postponed. Recently, Iran proposed via Pakistan that sanctions and the blockade be lifted before discussing the nuclear issue. However, President Donald Trump has said he is dissatisfied with Iran's proposal. The gap between the two sides remains unchanged. Meanwhile, Iran is using the ceasefire to rebuild missile and drone capabilities for possible future conflicts. USNBC reports that Iran is recovering weapons hidden underground or buried after US and Israeli airstrikes. Also, CNN reported on April 17th, based on satellite images, that Iran is clearing debris at the entrance of a missile base to access the missile launch pad. If the conflict resumes, it seems highly likely that Iran will use these launch pads to attack Gulf countries or US military bases. Above all, Iran is claiming that all the current social and economic problems are because of the United States. They also insist that all the protests happening inside Iran are instigated by the US, and that the leaders of these protests are agents of the US and Israel. The Iranian government continues to argue that the US's maritime blockade and additional sanctions are causing Iran's economy to collapse. Of course, it is true that US sanctions have had a significant impact on the collapse of Iran's economy. However, the most decisive reason for Iran's economic difficulties is the corruption of the Iranian regime and the economic monopoly of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. On April 30th, Mojtaba Khamenei claimed that Iran's traffic management, including increasing the passage fees for ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz, is necessary to strengthen Iran's economy and promote regional stability. On May 1st, the US Treasury warned ships paying Iran's passage fees to pass through the Strait of Hormuz may face sanctions. To increase pressure on Iran, the US Treasury sanctioned Iranian companies involved in sanctions evasion on May 1. The US Department of the Treasury designated 3 Iranian bank networks and their related shell companies as targets for sanctions. The US Department of the Treasury said these companies move tens of billions of dollars annually through shadow financial networks. On April 28, 35 companies and individuals were sanctioned, and then another round of sanctions was announced on May 1. The US also targeted the cryptocurrency sector that Iran uses to evade US sanctions. On April 29, $344 million worth of cryptocurrency related to Iran, which is about 500 billion won, was frozen. Iran's central bank was actually using digital assets frequently to evade sanctions, and this is what was sanctioned. So, on May 1, the United States Central Command announced that it had ordered 45 ships heading to Iran to turn back. Hezbollah continued to attack Israeli forces and military assets. Since April 30, Hezbollah has carried out a total of 12 attacks, 8 of which were drone attacks. All of these attacks targeted Israeli forces and vehicles located in southern Lebanon. According to a previous report by Wall City, Hezbollah reportedly flies drones at least 10 times a day. The Israeli military has not made any preparations against the drones used by Hezbollah, so the damage continues to accumulate. It appears that the Israeli military is taking temporary measures, such as covering military equipment and outposts with nets. And the Israeli Air Force has deployed mobile radars in southern Lebanon to make it easier to detect drones. In addition, the Israeli military has shot down at least 27 drones using the Iron Dome. However, since they use one Iron Dome missile per drone, it is actually causing losses for Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu has ordered a response to the drone threat, but countermeasures may take time to reach the front lines. Between April 30th and May 1st, the Israeli military struck at least 40 Hezbollah strongholds in southern Lebanon. This is the most airstrikes the Israeli military has conducted in Lebanon in a 24-hour period since the April 16th ceasefire. The Israeli military said they struck Hezbollah command centers, facilities Hezbollah uses to plan and launch attacks against the Israeli military and other military infrastructure in southern Lebanon. I'll make and upload another video if there's more news. Thanks for watching.